From the losers on the battlefield of local politics. This final foray into Lewisham's affairs proves a tense period in the town hall.
After a year that has seen £21 million worth of cuts, council members have to get down to deciding next year's budget. The deputy leader is preparing a budget paper that will challenge the leaders.
That other than either making the cuts to meet the cap or exceeding the cap, I don't see what alternatives there are.
Well, I'm not talking about tonight, it's just too late, and I've got to go somewhere else, and then we can't actually discuss it properly. I haven't actually got the paper in front of me, and so on. I'd rather you actually have time to read it and think about it and talk it through properly.
You got a seat? Will you stop me?
Yeah.
Right, what's we talking about then?
Would you rather be left?
What do you think?
I don't mind. I mean, what I've got to say, say...
On that? You may as well.
On your paper?
Yeah, for history. Take. Yeah, they don't harm because I'm talking to... Steve's got a copy. I'm talking to Roger Payne about it, so... do you want me to talk through it, or have you had time to read it?
I've read it. Yeah.
Oh, good.
I've read it.
So...
Well, the basic drift of it is, from my point of view, fine. You've got 3 million here net of cuts. Well, me, I don't know, it's 3 or 4 or 2, but I don't think we need 9 million certainly, which is the way that the papers that were going to the leadership working group were indicating. And it was 5.8 or 6 million plus 3 million balances. I think that something close to what you've got here is deliverable.
What I'm saying is, we need to talk to Roger and actually get Roger to be sensitive to all the issues, and really that. Look, it's not a question.
I accept that, and I already have, and I will continue.
I think you can have that confidence in us and the other members involved that we know what we're doing.
I've got confidence in you. I haven't got confidence at the moment that the leadership, including you, can deliver with education. I don't think that. I mean, I think it's very different from when you were leader, 4 or 5 years ago, where I could be pretty sure. I mean, I wasn't chief executive then, but as assistant chief executive, I could be pretty sure that if you said something was going to happen, you'd done your sounding, and you could see it through. I mean, education at the moment is, I think it's very difficult for you to get. You can't get things through quite the way you used to be able to. Education is particularly difficult.
But I'm thinking that if for example, this is a sort of by giving them 0 cuts, they can actually look at their full £100 million budget and decide what really does need to go back into schools and what needs to come out of the other. Now, if they decide after, what we're saying is it's ring-fenced. And if they actually want to take a decision to transfer £3 million into schools, they can do that, but they find it from the non-schools budget.
Have you seen Dave Sullivan's paper?
I have, yes.
Yeah. Apart from the fact that I think he's grossly exaggerating grossly simplifying the reasons for the overspending this bit on the education service. It's all down to the Ilya budget, being cut back, etc., etc., and it's all been done by the finance director. It's very, very neat, but it's not. I don't think it's the whole truth. But anyway, the other thing about this paper, which has come out also out of the officer work, the 3 million extra on the aggregated schools budget. It's a bit of a figure from the air, when you actually look at he's produced a detailed, sort of detailed justification. And it doesn't seem to bear any relation to anything particular. It's sort of...
I mean, it is a guesstimate, you're right. But it's nothing like the resource level that's been taken out of the schools in terms of staffing and repairs and maintenance. So it's nothing like restoring it.
Is it?
No, because we've taken out more than £3 million worth of teachers and repairs and maintenance and support staff budgets and capitation budgets. We know that the supply budgets are going to run out at Christmas. We know that the repairs and maintenance budgets are going to run out at Christmas, and children are going to be sent home on health and safety grounds. We're just starting to get a view that there are genuine ways in which the schools can't manage. And it is a guesstimate, but we're thinking putting 3 million into the system will roughly mean that we won't be confronting those problems next year.
Under my proposals, the community charge for standard spending will be about £257. Efficient authorities should be able to set charges which are even lower. Actual charges, however, will depend on authorities' budgets and on their efficiency and determination in collecting the charge.
Wandsworth.
Yep. Lewisham, please. Thanks.
Haringey. Basildon. Hello. Barnet.
Right, let's get back. I was thinking though, by the time we get back, Roger, they would have listened to it on the radio, and they won't have our individual figures though, will they? No.
7-9. 7-9 what? 7-9-3.
Yeah, 7-9-3.
So that's 4, 11, 7, 8, 9, 8. 238.914.
Yeah.
So that is marginally more than the number which I had projected, wasn't it?
Right.
I had projected 237.1. So we've gained nearly 2 million.
Look at that one I did that on the 22nd of October.
239.751. You were even closer than me, weren't you? Well done.
You can understand I'm a bit taken aback.
Yeah, well, I'm still, the thing that well, yes, because we're basically 2 million more.
Yeah. If somebody asks me on Tuesday morning, which they probably will, do you think you can balance your budget? I've now got to say, yes, of course we can. And if they then go on to say, do you think you can actually add back some of the cuts that you made which caused so much anguish earlier in the year? The answer to that is probably yes as well.
You mean in terms of education?
Yeah. So I ought to be quite pleased about all this. What I don't want to do is, actually the timing is awful, I don't want people to think that they don't need to deal with the cuts in the yellow sheet. Because taking them is now absolutely crucial, because that's what gets us onto the level
gets you onto a position of strength, doesn't it?
Yeah. So
everything you want to do
take them,
after.
Then we can. Good grief. Can you put together a briefing which gives the figures, but kind of doesn't give her too many hostages to fortune?
Yeah.
And make it a bit technical so people don't understand it. Let me say a little bit more about the SSA, which we've now had time to pick some bones out of. The first thing I need to say is that it is better than we feared. We appear to be about 2 million, possibly £2.5 million better off than we expected. If we agree the package in front of us this evening, we would not need to go through another cuts exercise before the general election, and we could set a budget a few pounds below the government's capping figure and start next year in a relatively strong position. I don't agree that we should agree £7.2 million worth of cuts. So what else could one do other than to put forward an alternative? We don't not here to enjoy making cuts. We don't look to make cuts. We look to minimise cuts. We look to maximise expenditure. Many of the officers felt there was a need for a quantum leap to actually get into a situation where we actually had reserves and balances and so on, and we didn't have to have these mid-year cuts. Now, any reasonable person would want to be in a situation like that,
Unfortunately, we have a big difference between ourselves and the officers. In the sense that we have a political agenda, a local social, a community agenda, whereas they have a managerial agenda. And they aren't necessarily incompatible. But in these particular circumstances, at this particular time, our political agenda must take priority over actually giving the officers a quiet life. I would suggest to you that you do not agree the recommendations in Dave's paper this evening. If you do, you will put me in an extremely difficult position, but clearly it is for group to decide.
I find it fairly astounding. We seem to have in the Deputy Leader's paper the opportunity not to make the cuts that were being advocated before, and people seem to be very unwilling to go along with that. Last Tuesday the scenario changed, and obviously there might be a bit of prevarication on the part of the government, but if the scene's changed and we're getting more money out of it, then I think we ought to listen to Dave's paper.
The whole debate should be deferred. Clearly, when you have a paper put in front of you which has figures which have not been checked out, I have completely different interpretations of the figures that Dave has, and we need that week to digest them if we're going to do that. There is no way we should be taking this kind of decision on these figures.
I'm going to move deferral of any further discussion of the papers before us in order that the small group can consider both papers on Wednesday, and that a new paper will be presented to group where a proper and more rounded and more focused debate can take place. I so move, Chair.
That's 23 in favour of deferral, 13 against. So that's carried.
Thank you very much for picking me up. The car's knackered.
What a surprise.
Yes.
What's the problem?
I don't know. I think there's a drain on the electric system somewhere. If I give you the key, you can drop off to John tomorrow.
Okay.
But tell him it's actually inside the garage. And
Better give him the garage key this time, not
yeah,
the key.
they're all on the same key ring. But if it's going to be expensive, don't do it.
Put the clothes up off the
Don't make me afford that sort of here.
Yeah, well, you know, the copies of the paper are better than me.
It was a fairly difficult meeting. So.
Why was that?
Well, I wasn't really expecting to get back and find there was another paper on the budget. That rather caught me by surprise. And
Who prepared that?
you won't guess.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Excuse me, let's get us up.
So we had to sort that out. But the problem was, of course, the paper of mine was only a third of the full paper. The rest of the paper is still sitting
The water. Right.
somewhere in the town hall waiting to be finished. So I was a bit uncomfortable that we weren't actually discussing comparing like with like. That's what you just got used to living indoors, isn't it?
Well, that's right.
It was a spray that turned up in the summer.
He seems to regard the trip to the Vector's Fair Exchange for being allowed in.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about this. Board and lodging in exchange for having your balls cut off doesn't seem to me to be a very good deal.
No, that's a response most men give, actually. I can't think why. That and Winksy.
Yes, it's you we're talking about. I actually haven't seen the figures worked out in detail since we got the SSA announcement. I only know the crude figures that we got this 2 to 2.5 million more. And maybe there is some room for pushing at the margin on some of the assumptions. But what I wasn't prepared to do was let the group take a decision now that they might have had to unravel in a week's time, because that's not good management. And that was really all it was about. Fortunately, a majority of people, I think, agreed with that. If the figures had been 2 million quid the other way, we would have been absolutely screwed. I know you'll ring later on. Right. I
I normally prefer to walk from Chris's place to mine rather than the other direction, if that's at all possible. It's uphill all the way. Oh, right. Yes.
Hi, it's Jane. I know you're really tearing all over the jet setting. Okay, I need to confirm what's happening about Saturday the 7th, the champagne booster.
Obviously, but because Mr. Baker had, as he claims, wished to remain within the law, the proper course would have been to accept the court's ruling and then appeal, not flout the court's judgment.
Can my right honourable friends say whether or not the discredited regression therapy is still taught and used in any homes struggling?
How are your finances, Stephen? Well, the bank manager has decided to start cashing my cheques again, which is something of a breakthrough. So, actually, it's very odd. As long as, this sounds awful, as long as I'm going to meetings, it's alright. But if anything happened to me, if I fell over and broke my leg, I'd be absolutely stumped because I wouldn't get any money.
You don't work?
I don't work. I work part-time off and on. I went to college last year. I get some expenses. We have these special responsibility allowances. I mean, I don't complain particularly because nobody's making me do it. It's just a little bit frustrating, but some people tell me that I do it quite well. So it seems a bit silly to stop just because I could make more money doing something else. But it's, I mean, I'm better off than many. I mean, I'm aware of other councillors around London and indeed elsewhere who've had families to feed, mortgages to pay, who've just reached the point where they couldn't do it.
At the moment it's cold, the hydraulic's cold.
I don't think there's no such thing as a short day anymore. Not the way everything's going. Everybody's having a crack at you.
There you go anyway. See, with the bags, you're just banging them in. You're gone. How it is, you know.
You must put the bins back. That takes a lot of time. Where you used to just, you know, on your shoulder. Yeah. All that. It's a lot of waste of time taking bins back to. But you know,
as long as I get home and can have my leg over, I don't give a
17 bus carts on this boat, right?
Yes.
In April, they're taking 5 on. I can 2 men on the bank as usual, do 3 loads a day, extra over town the weekly wages. I said, no matter what I say, people will do it, you do it. I don't like it, I know what the game is. It's as simple as that.
Is that their attitude?
Yeah.
Do it, I'll get out.
That's right, that's what they come down to. He said, I just want to know the blokes who said yes, they're prepared to do it. But
those who say no, then it's on the boat.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Luckily I got a job. Hey! Go! morning's work's the hardest, but it breaks down a little bit in the afternoon. Now, going at this pace, should be finished by 1.
1 o'clock?
Yeah. I reckon 1 o'clock. Do take a seat.
Lovely.
Now, would you like tea or coffee?
A coffee, please.
Coffee. Well, 2 coffees, please. Okay, please. Oh, right, yeah, we might as well do this formally as well. If you can take these as well. I mean, not everybody who fails to get their bin emptied gets a bouquet of flowers, but I saw the first do take those. Do take those with you.
Thank you.
Sit down.
Okay.
So don't let all these gentlemen put you off. That's their job. Okay, who else? Tony, you can sit there. Who's actually with us?
Look, if anyone wants to do any more photographs or what have you, if they can do them now. Okay, does anybody want to do any?
A big step for us to be able to publish our service standards. But I think, you know, it's yet another major step forward to...
Oh, sorry.
Ready? Okay. Okay.
Right, sorry.
Okay.
Mrs. Poynter.
Yes.
Mrs. Poynter, nice to meet you. Councillor
Thank
Deputy. I'm very glad you could make it here today. Here to present you with, first of all, your £1.
Thank you.
On behalf of London Borough of Lewisham, and our profuse apologies at your failure to collect, which I think we've addressed now. Won't happen again.
Yeah.
A small memento of your visit.
Thank
To
you.
say they won't be emptying that one, so don't bring up if that was
No,
not
I'll keep
emptied. And just a small token of the inconvenience you've been put to.
Thank you very much.
Grateful that you've come in today.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very much, and I hope you don't have any more problems in the future.
I hope not.
Otherwise you'll be sacked.
Right, colleagues, can you take your seats?
I don't think £3 million in the schools budget. James Peter came around the weekend and raised the question of where is it going to go. Yeah. And rather than that being left to have a huge row in education labour group between now and Christmas, I want to move this recommendation so we actually say where it goes, and that we put the maximum into special needs. Because he's saying that we should siphon it off and put it into repairs.
Well, you could try, I mean, right, fine.
I think really what I'm saying is I'm fluent in this.
You better make sure you give us a short-term explanation.
Yeah, I will. I'll be very careful. I'll do my best. I'm on my best behaviour at the night. Nothing outrageous. I'm going to wind people up. I'm putting an amendment into one of the recommendations in Steve's report, so I thought I'd write it down for you.
Spent all night discussing
to add at the end of the recommendations. Is there I'll get a second.
Item 4, the meat of tonight's meeting now. Budget.
Thank you, Chair. Can I thank Dave for withdrawing his paper, which makes the business of tonight's meeting rather more straightforward. The intervening week, I think, has given us the opportunity to put the budget into a rather clearer perspective. The principal reason that we are in a strong position, ironically, is that all of the pain and anguish that we went through in the first half of this year, because of the overspending which arose, meant that we took decisions then which don't now need to be taken again. We can now, on the basis of these figures, agree a supplement to next year's schools budget of £3 million. The reason that is a conclusion to be reached now, and not next week, next month, or the month after, is because for our schools, the coming year will be, in many ways, the make or break year. It will be the first year of the operation of local management of schools. And I, therefore, am delighted that we are recommending to you that you agree that money this evening.
Gavin is proposing an amendment to recommendation 6, which is the £3 million we made available for the schools budget, and he wants to add allowing for the allocation of the maximum 10% of the ASB to be devoted to special needs. I haven't got a seconder for that.
Chair, I don't know whether I'm going to inject controversy or more consensus into the discussion. In Steve's original paper, he suggests the decision about how precisely the £3 million should be used could be left for the decision-making Education Committee group. What I'm suggesting is that I think it's a decision that should be taken here. The papers that we received at the strategy group said that we could actually put the maximum in to special needs and still meet our objectives on repair and maintenance and ensuring that there are no losers. It's an extremely positive thing, and no, I don't have any qualms about telling the Mercury that and about telling the Lewisham voters that. I think they should hear about it. We are at last doing something good for education. Let's make a fuss about it. And let's put that 10% where it should be in the schools that need the money most for the children who are looking to us to provide them with an education service.
All those in favour of Gavin's amendment, please show. Those against, please show.
I think it's fairly conclusive.
Put your hands up, please. 1, 2, 5. I declare that carried, that amendment carried. Can I have your agreement to the recommendations that the leader has put forward on page 10 of the paper put to you tonight? Is that agreed? Yes. Right, thank you very much. That concludes the discussion on the budget.
Oh, sorry.
We now move to item 6. Jarman. Is there a second for your proposal, Jarman? Ashtat seconds. Right, go ahead, Jarman.
Tell me about your budget first, anyway.
Well, the
budget. Nice fat budget.
Yeah, the budget is. I mean, you know, it's always been difficult to say you've got enough money, isn't it? You never want to say that.
Yeah.
But I mean, compared with what we anticipated the budget to be and what it is, then it obviously covers everything that we currently have, and there are things that we can do in addition, and obviously having the supplement for special needs has made a difference. Certainly looking a lot brighter than we felt, you know, this time last year. We just have to see what happens in the election to see what next year's like. We've got a lot of pictures up around. I mean, actually, I'm looking at the art. I think the art room's actually it's in the process of being all taken down and the new stuff put up. But some of the artwork is really good.
Good. Right, shall we go in there?
This room is at the annex, Art City Challenge money, a room that is now with nothing in it. We hope ultimately to have exactly like, you know, the same way as English. They'd all be...
The performing arts of the school is very, very good.
It is.
Quite an outstanding reputation.
They do, and they have a lot of people.
Very, very good performances.
They're in good terms.
Just as what they really need to see if they can do a song, make up some words that and a melody to sing along.
Sounds nice.
I'm trying out for a singer.
Very good singers in this.
There they have Susan Long. Could go on forever, that one. That's the only conceivable time. You see, in this area was going to become sort of, it's open. If I've got a key for this. But this area will become a careers library. Then there's business studies over there. And another modern languages room there. So it'll be a sort of world of work suite related to modern languages in 1992. And in fact, some people have said, I mean, National Westminster, and some people have said that there's possibility of getting some furniture for it.
You know, and it was us that got rid of the staff last summer rather than you having to do it.
So,
So it's been a smooth...
How many pictures went last year?
What?
How many teachers did you get rid of?
I'm not telling you, Charles. I'm not telling you.
I thought it was 350.
I don't think it was as many as that, but it was certainly well over 200 teachers left the service.
Members of the council, the worshipful the mayor.
Take your seats, please, or else adjourn to other parts of the building to continue your conversations.
This has been a most difficult year for the council. Government restrictions have bitten ever more tightly on our budgets. We have been forced to make significant cuts in services, and it seems to me this is an appropriate time for us to look at quite where we have reached, to look back as well as looking forward. Since 1987, that story of having to make cuts as restrictions have bitten ever deeper has been repeated year after year. But what is also true is that they would have been very much worse if it wasn't for our ability to achieve value for money. It's interesting that Lewisham has come to be described as a pacemaker authority, not by the Labour Party, not by the members sitting on this side of the chamber, but by such unbiased individuals as Michael Heseltine and Sir George Young. Pacemaker authority is a description I am happy to accept. City Challenge, which we signed only last week, I believe demonstrates all that is best about Lewisham. A dynamic authority, an authority committed to partnership, an authority which has vision. The poll tax that we are about to set is £197. It's the 5th lowest poll tax in London. I am delighted that this will be the last capped budget that this council has to set. This will be the last poll tax that this council has to set, because this will be the last budget that is set under a Tory government.
Right. All aboard?
Can I bring the babe?
That's
The Labour Party Worldwide Travel. Children have price.
There's only one stop, it's Westminster.
Babies as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Why are you telling people to vote Labour?
Because it's a bloody good idea, largely. Don't you think so? Yeah? I think so. Mind the road, whatever you do.
Thank you very much.
Straight up.
Yeah, straight upstairs.
On again, son. There you go, son. Margaret.
Labour hasn't won a seat in London in a general election since 1974. In 1987 they were damaged by the London effect, the loony Labour councils. The Tories have been saying this time that that'll hurt them again, that they'll suffer from it. Labour is insisting that they've cleaned up their act, that they've cleaned up their image, and that they're very confident. So it's going to be a bit of a cliffhanger. That's the situation for the moment here in London.
So it's a fascinating battle between these various parties. If the swing in Pendle was typical of 5%.
I'm sorry, it seems as if they can't come to us just at the moment. I'm very, very sorry to have got you out of your count. I'm very sorry.
Okay.
No, I really am terribly sorry.
So you're going to be some time?
It seems as if they're too long. I don't want to keep you here any longer because it's just wasted time.
Can you say to them that, you know, I'll come up next time, but they better do it. I'm not coming back again.
No, exactly. This is the problem. This is what we've said to them. We won't ask again until after the count. That's the best idea. Is that all right? Thank you.
How much? 1,800. How much? 1,800. Well done, Sunshine.
Well done.
Right.
Let's give you a kiss.
Right. Come on, enjoy this. Let me step over it. Calm down, calm down. Are you getting this, Malcolm?
Please on stage. As the acting returning officer for the Lewisham West constituency, I hereby give notice that the total number of votes given for each candidate at the election was as follows. Coulham Paul, 125. Dowd James Patrick, 20,378. Maples John Craddock, 18,000.
I think the Tories backed a number of losers, not the least of which was trying to portray Lewisham Council as inefficient and unresponsive, and that is not people's experience of it. This council's not perfect by any means, but if people's general perception about the way their public services are provided, you know, the refuse collection, the streets are cleaned, and the library services and whatever, people know that this is a council doing its best under very difficult circumstances.
And altogether a great night for Lewisham.
Indeed, for Labour in Lewisham and for Lewisham, yeah.
There's a series guide that provides further information about the workings of local government, available by writing to Town Hall Guide, BBC Television, London W12 7RJ, and please enclose a cheque for £3.50 made payable to BBC Television.